This is the mind-boggling story of Quincy Anton Promes, the Ajax Academy wonderkid who ended up in prison. For most footballers, being born in a family with a strong footballing heritage is seen as an advantage, but that clearly wasn't the case with Quincy Promes. Born on the 4th of January 1992 in the city of Amsterdam, Promes is a descendant of Afro-Surinamese parents. His father, whose name is treated as a top-level secret, played professional football in Suriname. However, after migrating to the Netherlands in the 90s, he became an amateur player, ultimately ending his chances of making it big in the sport. As fate would have it, Quincy Promes would go on to achieve everything that his father failed to achieve as a footballer, and even more. By the time he turned 10, he was already a member of the famed Ajax Academy, and it seemed like he was destined to climb through the ranks and eventually break it into the first team. But unfortunately for the youngster, that wasn't the case, as he was released from the Ajax Academy at the age of 16. The decision was quite a surprise, especially because Quincy Promes was one of the brightest young talents around at the time, and everyone at the club had high hopes for him. However, his attitude off the pitch was a huge worry. According to reports, Quincy Promes was the troublemaker-in-chief of his age grade team. He fought his teammates, disrespected coaches, and after several failed attempts to talk him out of it, the club decided to let him go. Promes would later admit that he was a loudmouth and didn't know when to shut up. Following his exit from Ajax, Quincy Promes became depressed and nearly gave up on football, but thanks to his mother's encouragement, he joined the youth team of HFC Haarlem. He performed exceptionally well for Haarlem, and in no time he earned himself a deserved move to Twente. Promes continued his steady progress with Twente, first with the academy team, but eventually he signed a professional contract with the Enschede-based team in February 2011. A little over 1 year later, Promes made his debut for Twente, but he wasn't getting as much playing time as he would have liked. So in July 2012, he joined Go Ahead Eagles on loan. This would turn out to probably be the best decision of his young career. Quincy Promes hit the ground running at Go Ahead Eagles, grabbing 17 goals and 11 assists in 41 games. The fans adored him and christened him Promessi because they were utterly mesmerised by his ability on the pitch. But as they say, all good things come to an end. And the love story between the Go Ahead Eagles fans and Quincy Promes wasn't any different. His parent club, Twente, had been monitoring his progress all along, and of course they wasted no time integrating him into the squad for the 2013-2014 season. Promes's second coming at Twente was very successful, despite suffering a nasty knee injury that kept him out of action for a long time. He contributed 11 goals and 8 assists in 35 games. By the end of the campaign, the tricky winger had become a hotcake. He got his first national team call-up with the Netherlands, and top clubs across Europe, including Juventus and Valencia, were queuing up for his signature. Eventually, the tricky winger opted to join Spartak Moscow. It was a strange decision, given the list of suitors he had, but it turned out well. Not only did Quincy Promes become a star for the club, he became one of the best players in the league, winning several personal accolades, becoming the highest scoring foreigner in the history of the league. Continuing his fine form, Promes helped Spartak Moscow win the Russian Premier League in the 2016-2017 season. But after scoring 66 times in 135 appearances for the club between 2014 and August 2018, he joined Seville in a deal worth around 20 million. Life in Seville wasn't as good as Quincy Promes would have loved. Of course, he showed flashes of his quality a few times, but he struggled to find consistency, scoring just 3 goals and 9 assists in 49 games. So, in June 2019, he left Seville and joined Ajax on a 5-year deal worth around 16 million. It was an emotional return to the place where it all started. And understandably, Promes was eager to make the most of the opportunity. He scored 8 goals within his first 12 games for the team. The energetic winger maintained his red-hot form throughout the season. He added 8 more goals and 5 assists to his tally. He couldn't have asked for a better debut season, but just when you thought nothing could go wrong, the troubles of his personal life began to resurface again. The alarm bells were set off in December 2020 when news broke that Promes had been arrested for allegedly stabbing his cousin during a family party. The forward denied this allegation through his lawyer, claiming he was not present when the incident happened. Anyway, he was later released on bail while investigations continued, but from then on, he was never the same player again. He became a shadow of himself on the pitch, as he struggled to find form and consistency. Eventually, in February 2021, it became clear that his situation at Ajax was irredeemable, so both parties agreed to part ways. Due to the allegations hanging over his head, a lot of clubs were skeptical about signing Quincy Promes, but not Spartak Moscow. The Russian giants were so keen to have him back, so much that they paid $8.5 million for his services. Once he arrived in Moscow, the attacker continued from where he left off during his first stint. He became a menace to the opponent, banging in goals from left, right and centre. On the pitch, it was as if he got a new lease of life. But off it, the controversies he left behind in Amsterdam never stopped haunting him. With every passing day, investigators were closing in on the truth about the alleged stabbing incident from 2020. And eventually, they uncovered the truth in June 2023. Contrary to what he claimed initially, Quincy Promes was at the scene of the incident, and he was in fact the main protagonist. The authorities intercepted several conversations where Promes admitted to stabbing his cousin in the neck. But that wasn't all. In one conversation obtained by the police, Promes claimed that his aim was to stab his cousin in the neck. "I didn't aim at his leg at all, I wanted to put it on his neck," the Spartak Moscow winger said. "Next time, he will get bullets." With all this evidence, the court rightfully convicted Promes in absentia, handing him a 18-month sentence. But he remained a free man because by the time the judgment was delivered, the extradition treaty between the Netherlands and Russia had been cancelled. The whole episode was of course worrying, especially for a player of Promes's status. But little did we know, the worst was yet to come. You see, while trying to defend him in court in the stabbing case, Promes's lawyer argued that the evidence presented to the court was not admissible because they were originally obtained during investigations into another offence. What's this offence, you might ask? Well, it's drug trafficking. The one crime you wouldn't expect a super rich professional footballer to commit. But unfortunately, that was the reality with Quincy Promes. As the authorities came to find out, footballer Promes lived 2 lives. One as a successful pro footballer, and the other as a member of a large-scale drug trafficking syndicate that peddled drugs across Europe. Court documents revealed that he facilitated the shipment of 2 tranches of cocaine, weighing 650 kilograms and 700 kilograms into Belgium in January 2021. Unfortunately for Promes and his gang, one of the shipments was intercepted by the authorities, while the other mysteriously went missing. But his crime didn't stop there. Upon further investigation, prosecutors also found that the Spartak Moscow forward was in illegal possession of a firearm. Of course, with all this evidence, not even the best lawyer in the world could defend him. The court prosecuted and sentenced him to 6 years in prison in absentia. Despite the sentence, Quincy Promes continued to live in freedom. In fact, not only was he free, he continued his career with Spartak Moscow. But eventually the long arms of the law caught up with him in March 2024. Well, that was until March 2024 when he was apprehended during a winter training program organised by Spartak Moscow in Dubai. Apparently, the Dutch authorities had issued a red notice for his arrest. In case you were wondering, a red notice is a request to law enforcement agencies globally to locate and provisionally arrest a suspected criminal pending extradition. At the time of making this video, Spartak Moscow terminated Promes's contracts, and efforts are being made to extradite him to the Netherlands, where he will face the full wrath of the law. Given his background as an unprivileged kid who against all odds made it to the biggest stage in world football, this is a really sad end for Quincy Promes, and hopefully his story will discourage other athletes from the same mistakes.